Thank you, Olu, for your contribution. It was really inspiring for all of us. And thank you, Sophia, again for sharing with us your experience. I'm just going to be really brief because I'm afraid that the session might automatically end in the next. Oh, but it's not. So it looks like we got some more time. So I hope everybody had enjoyed this session. I know that we're running a little bit later compared to our schedule. So I know Sophia has to leave us soon. If anyone has maybe a couple of questions for Sophia, and so that we can release her. Okay. So Curtis is asking, Sophia is thanking you for sharing with us your experience, and you love your outlook on failure. Can I ask what was the book that helped shape your present mindset?
Wow, that's an interesting question. So there's been a number of books. I'm an avid reader of personal improvement, self-improvement books. But I think maybe I can just talk about one or two that really stands out. So Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. That book is it's really, really popular. You may have heard of it or you may even have read it. I think that's a really good book, in particular if you're at a stage in your career or you're in school and you're starting out. So that's one I would recommend. There's things around productivity. Brian Tracy, I think that's the name, and I've mixed it up. There's things something around it's the frogs. First is all about the downside of procrastination and just ensuring that you're focused on doing the most difficult task first, which then gives you the motivation to do something else. So so the variety of books that I've read over my career.
All right, thank you, Sophia. Curtis, hope that the question satisfied you. Mark's asking how you see the impact of COVID shaping how people engage with work. Is it really workable for the banking sector, for example, to work from home?
You want me to take that? I think we can take it in turns, right?
Sorry, Sophia, say it again.
I think we can take it in turns, so I can offer my perspective. I'm sure Olu would offer his as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, you know what? The COVID-19 is such a huge disruption that the changes that probably would have taken 20 to 50 years to make, organizations have done that in a matter of weeks. At Barclays, for example, we're about 85,000 and 90% of us are working from home. We've been doing that for almost 3 months now. And so the question that management is starting to ask is, if you can have this huge amounts of people working from home and they're still really productive, because we are, and I'm actually working longer, I have another meeting, which is why I have to dash off shortly, is that why do I need to invest in huge properties in Canary Wharf or in the City of London? So this COVID-19 is certainly going to shape in terms of how we work, how we serve our clients, how we serve our colleagues. Of course, there are certain areas, if you're in investment banking, if you're in trading, a lot of those had to work from home as well. We had to set up, because I'm in operations and technology, we had to set up platforms and trading systems and platforms for them to work from home. But I don't think that model is really sustainable in the longer term for certain areas of the bank. Those definitely will be one of those, when we start returning to work, would be one of the first few to return to work. But, things around what I see this happening is how we work in terms of, more working from home. I think people would always still crave to work in the office, but there'll be more working from home. There'll be more dynamic working. There'll be more digitization. It's just going to accelerate the digitization from client perspective, how we serve clients, our clients use our product, how we serve, how we design and deliver a complex product to our clients, and our role as well in the society and the community. So whilst there are huge disruption, but I think that there are upsides that I see the bank I work for starting to take, and to just ensure that the changes that's happened, the positive aspects, that we capture it and we use that to propel us forward, as opposed to going back to how things were before the crisis.
I very much agree with Sophia. The one thing I'll identify I've identified from where I work is that there's a lot more interest in a work-life balance now, because as an example, people are working from home now, and we're on video calls and we're on audio calls, and you can hear people's children in the background. You can hear the baby crying or the dogs barking or when people get their post. And so what people are realizing is that people are starting to realize that we are all human, all having similar things. Either people who have kids in the house, or people who have a dog, or people who have um, you know post and coming through in the letterbox, and those are things that you don't necessarily think of or think about when you're at work in the office building, but outside the office building people are starting to recognize that. And so there's a shift in people's minds, and especially within the executives, in how we can then link in more in building a structure of a work-life balance in what we do every day. So yeah, those are the changes that are happening, and hopefully there'll be other things that come through.
All right, thanks, Olu. I've just got a message from Sophia. She just left. She really enjoyed and thanked everybody for participating today. And Olu, do you think we can have another space for other 2-3 questions?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. All right. So I was seeing there was someone else putting up question for Sophia. But it was Max that was asking, once he identified what's his aspiration in life and what's the best job that suits his desires, who's the best person to approach?
The best person to approach regarding,
I believe, a particular role within a specific industry. Do you think there's any specific professional that is easier to approach when
yeah, so
you want to get it?
So before you start approaching people, you probably want to start by just doing a research into companies, online research. That's usually the very first step. Most companies thankfully have websites, and within most companies, depending on how large or how small the company is, they would usually have a career page. And a lot of companies also have policies regarding work experience, regarding applying for career, jobs within those companies. So before you want to identify people, you want to see what companies have in place, what structures they have in place. So look at the careers website and identify. Now, if you don't identify if they have a formal structure, then you can, as an example, go to their contacts page on their website and give them a call, ask to speak to someone from HR, and speak to someone from HR and ask how you could attain work experience with that company, or attain work placements or any job opportunities. Now, if you don't want to do that, alternatively, what you could do is go through LinkedIn. So type the name of the company on LinkedIn. You will see a list of people who work within that company, and when you see the list, you would also see their job titles as well. And with that, you can start to message people directly from LinkedIn. Though that's the advice I'll give.
All right, thanks, Olu. I believe and I hope that the answer was as most explanatory as possible. So I've seen more questions for Sophia. Francisco is asking, all right, how would you pursue for work experience as per current COVID situation, working from home without experience?
There are still loads of companies offering work experience even with COVID. One thing I will identify is that a lot of companies, like Sophia mentioned before she dropped off, is that a lot of companies are starting to realize that actually they can work remotely, and so they're sending their employees laptops, as an example, to work from home. There are ways that we're keeping in touch via video calls like this or audio calls, and so we're finding that actually work can still go on even though we're not physically present in the building. And what we're also identifying is that work experience, work placements can still go on even with that. So as an example, within my company, there are loads of people who have recently started work experiences. And so what a company has done is, as they've sent them laptops directly to their homes. They've posted laptops to their homes, and they're able to get work and experience working, and check in with people with daily calls, log into meetings, log into video calls. And so work experiences can also still go on. So what you want to do is identify, go and again do some research, find out what companies are still offering work experiences even with the current global pandemic, and then apply to those opportunities.
Yeah, sounds fair. I mean, word is still running out there, and we as humans, we are evolving with it.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we'll have space for 2 more questions. What do you think, Olu? And then we can move on to the second part.
Yeah.
So Mark is asking, you had a background in compliance as you, and how you're delivering training, advisor monitoring remotely.
It's to be honest, I haven't within this global pandemic situation, we haven't we haven't done a lot of training. I've done about 2-3 within the last 2 months, but again, just as normal, because as an example, I work for a global bank, and so we have people that usually deliver training to who are based in India, as an example, or who are based in Hong Kong, as an example. And so I'm not, even in my day-to-day work outside of a global pandemic, I can't physically see them. And so most of the training has to be done, and has always had to be done remotely via video calls. And so work is literally, continuing as normal, just even before the global pandemic. So yeah, it's same thing as usual.
Right. Thank you, Olu, again. So moving on to the last question. Right. So Hannah is asking, what do you think about building technical skills if you want to break into banking?
Absolutely, that is very important. Building technical skills is absolutely very important. A mix of both, a mix of technical as well as experience working within a company is absolutely very important. So as an example, what I didn't mention is that in breaking into the banking sector, beyond just looking for work experience, once I got into the industry, I immediately identified what professional courses I could take, and I started taking professional courses. As I speak to you, I'm in the middle of doing I'm studying a part-time master's, as an example, whilst also working full-time. So technical skills, breaking into the industry absolutely is very important. I would say the most important thing is experience, but add to that is the technical skill. So either once you get in your foot into the door, or before you do, technical skill is absolutely very important. So yes, yes, I agree with Hannah. Yes.
All right, then thank you so much, Olu, to be with us, and there's a few extra minutes that we had to add. Thanks everybody who have participated, and I hope that everyone enjoyed this session.